Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today I'll be showing you how to ride a dirt bike. Give us a big thumbs up and like and subscribe. Right now, guys.
All right, just to show you how it should run, the bike wasn't even fully warmed up right there, which it can still seem a little hesitant when it's not fully warmed up, especially if you don't have your choke on. So that just shows you how good it runs just starting it for the first time today. Pulling some wheelies, not starved for fuel, everything's good to go. The more you ride it and get it warmed up, the way better it will respond, but nothing annoying by any means, just to give you a little sneak peek of what it could run like if you had it dialed in. Everything that I just did there, if I pulled a wheelie or clutch kicked a wheelie, when I came down and tried to keep going, it would just fall right on its face and go nowhere. Today I'm going to cover air screw tuning on your carburetor because this is the first dirt bike I've ever owned. I only rode a 250 of my friends when I was in like high school. I got this for a really good deal from a buddy of mine. It's a carbureted 2002, I believe, KLX 110 with a big bore kit, just a pipe, airbox removal, got like a red uni style filter, no name brand, $6.99 off Amazon. Just wanted to get something on there that wasn't as crusty and jank as the last unit that was on it. Did a valve adjustment, learned the bike, did the fluid swap, and we will cover now how to properly air screw tune the dirt bike. So first things first, if you're here because of bogging issues, or you're confused about whether or not the air screw is right, or you've managed to get far enough in the information that you know the air screw is a problem, which I did a lot of reading on forums before I found out that it even had an air screw. I'm used to China-made products that don't even have air screws on their carburetors. It's a big thing on dirt bikes. First things first, whether or not it's been your dirt bike the whole time, you got it from somebody else, you've messed with it, somebody else has messed with it, or if you don't even know if somebody else has messed with it, the first thing you need to do is find out if you have a spring on your air screw itself. The air screw on most all of them that I know of should be right here, right before the intake housing. It's a little flathead screw. This is your idle. You turn this up or down and it'll raise the idle. This is a choke. Pretty straightforward stuff. First few times I started messing with it, I had turned the air screw out a little bit just to play with it and see where it was at. It would run okay, and then it would start running hunky again. The screw itself would back itself all the way back into full rich, and I wouldn't really know why, so I pulled it out, found out that the spring was missing, so somebody has messed with it before, and I ended up having to put like a big click pin spring in there on the actual air screw to give it some back pressure so it won't move around. Right now it's held in place, it's fixed, it's solved, the bike runs like a champ, which it did not in all my first videos. My first pit bike ride video, my clutch kicking videos, my how-to wheelie video on the dirt bike, there wasn't a spring in there, so I was having issues with it. At first I band-aided the problem by putting some leak tape on the air screw just to kind of hold it still so it wouldn't move around. Wasn't a proper fix. Pull it out. If you do and there is a spring on it, make sure you keep your finger on the air screw while you're loosening it so it doesn't shoot out, hit the inside of the fairing, and you'll lose your spring. The symptoms, the things you want to look for when you know you have an issue. When I first got the bike, I would just be cruising down the street, second or third gear, just putting along, and I could feel the bike hesitating or jolting just a little bit. It did not feel smooth, like perfectly nice and smooth. You could just feel a little bit of something's going on here. So that's one of your first signs that will kind of give you some telltale signs. The second thing I really noticed, where it really sticks out, is if you go to pop a wheelie and come back down, it will bog and fall on its face as if it's not getting enough fuel. And that's where I really started noticing that something was not right, and I was thinking maybe I was starving the carburetor, there wasn't enough fuel in the bowl. That wasn't the case at all. I'm trying to save you time because after hours of forum searching, it wasn't until recently, after being on forums at least 15 times, before I really found out the situation. Keep in mind, I don't think jetting is a big deal depending on what's done to the bike and who's touched it and pulled it apart, just because you can solve jetting issues by tuning the air screw to an extent. I'm not saying that you shouldn't ever have to get one. It just jets, that is. It just depends on what mods are on the bike and how much fuel it actually needs from a stock setup and stock jets. When I first got the bike, I cleaned out the carb. I put the fuel bowl back on, the casing for the bottom of the bowl, and it was leaking fuel when it didn't before. So it got annoying to kind of solve that problem. The gasket was kind of old, flimsy, and misshaped. Finally, I torqued down on the screws, which one of them got a little stripped out, so I really wasn't in the mood to take it back apart once I started learning about carburetor jetting and what jets people are using up north and down south, and who's using 155 mains and 35 pilots and just all this nonsense. So I really didn't want to risk opening up the carb yet again to find out what jets it had, and if it had the wrong ones where I plotted what other people had versus what I had, then you got to order a kit, and it seems hard to find just a kit with a plethora of options. You'll have to buy them in like 10 pieces, as if you're like an automotive shop and you want them in stock to fix dirt bikes on a daily for maintenance or repairs that people bring into you to do. So I started eventually getting into the air screw problem and the bike running lean, because if your bike is bogging down, a lot of people say it's because it's running lean and there's not enough fuel. People that were like, oh, I had this size jet and that size jet, but if your jet's too small or big, you should just have to turn it in more or turn it out. You should only have to have bigger jets if you have to turn, you know, your air screw all the way in or all the way out. So I was getting the gist that you can solve most jetting problems with just the right air screw rotations and adjustments. In this case, I didn't have luck at first because I started out 2 turns out, which is leaner. The left you go is less fuel. If you go all the way in, that's the max fuel that your jetting setup will allow. So I would start out at like 2.5 turns, which was too much. And it would be better, but it wouldn't be perfect. Then I'd go 3 turns out, wouldn't really change it, would backfire a little bit on decel and stuff like that. But eventually I was like, all right, I'm just going to turn it all the way in and go like 1 full rotation out. Got a smidget more bogging. So right now I'm about 0.75 of a full rotation out from maxed out. In order to start fully maxed out, you just turn your air screw all the way into the right, and then you start backing it out like half a rotation at a time to find out where your bike wants to be lean wise. Because you don't just want to turn it all the way in. If it runs fine, leave it there. You still might be running a little rich and you might foul out plugs. So you kind of want to back out and rotate it outwards until you get that bog, that little hesitation, then maybe go a quarter forward again, go back the other way, which is going to the right and richening it up. In this case, my bike again is at 0.75 rotation. It's perfect. I can do wheelies all day long. It never bogs. It runs very healthy, very strong. And you'll also notice that if I were to turn mine 2 rotations out to lean it out even more, it will feel stale up top. It won't pull as hard as it should. It won't be as peppy. It won't be as powerful, I guess you could say. So again, setups are different for everybody. Don't really focus on jets right at first, because you're going to be buying stuff, gambling, guessing what sizes, taking your carburetor apart. If you put something in, you can't figure it out, then it's just a lot of travel in directions and chores to do without really knowing exactly how to solve the problem at first, and can become a headache. So I would always start out with the air screw, because I didn't know much about this stuff when I first got the bike, and now honestly I'm a pro. I hope this helps you guys out. If you have any questions, comment them down below. If this helped you, please hit the like button. Again, the air screw can go out like 4 to 5 rotations before it's even ready to fall out of the carburetor. So again, start out fully rich, all the way maxed out, all the way into the right, and then back off to find that buck, that slight hesitation, do a wheelie or pop it up in a power wheelie when it comes down. If you feel that bog, then you know you need to come out some or actually go in, vice versa, whatever. You want to go all the way in, max rich, and then back it out until you find the bog, and then go like a quarter turn forward, and that's about perfect and where she wants to be, because she's responding properly. I could pull a wheelie like and come down and be like blah, blah, while I'm doing 25% throttle or 50% throttle, just to force it fuel to see what is going on. Why is this dirt bike not running properly? It's annoying. There's nothing more of a buzzkill than to have a bike that's not running properly for something as simple as a screw. Make sure you subscribe. It really helps out. Consider getting us out there. It costs you nothing at all. Make sure you like the video, comment any questions. I'll try to keep up while I can, and we will see you next time.